So on this podcast, um, I think most people know that you can watch it on YouTube, as a video component, or you can just listen to it on the podcast networks. And come to find out, about 95% listen and about 5% watch. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with my handsome face. And yeah, I'm sure that's a pure coincidental that the podcast is more convenient, is what I keep telling myself.
Face
So
for radio, Carl. I'm speaking for myself only there, right?
yeah.
Well,
So
with the guests you have today, Carl, it may go down to 2.5%, 3%.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
hear you.
Yeah.
Well, those that are watching this on YouTube can see that my dear friend Wayne King, you've got this big banner behind you, and we were just talking about, like, your banner says Encompass Lending Group, right? Name of the company that you and Paul own.
Yes, sir.
And we were talking about shameless self promotion, and I think it's a funny thing, Wayne. I think a lot of people kind of see self promotion as a bad thing in their business. And what do you think about that?
I think that in our business, everybody needs to know what you do, Carl. It is a shame when, as a loan officer, somebody that's just in your arm's length reach, you find out that they may have done a purchase or a refinance, and they simply didn't know what you do or know enough about what you do. So if that's shameless self promotion, then I'm saying I'm all in on that, because it's all about the business, and every person you meet's a potential opportunity, whether it's them being the opportunity or just off of their sphere of influence. So I'm all in on that. I'm in with the above. I'm in with the shirt. Let's go.
Yeah, and the one thing that I just cannot, I can't stop pinching myself, is that every time in this business, every time we close a loan, I say we, I mean all of us collectively, that's both Paul Marsh and Wayne King, who I've had the honor of talking to here this morning, and you, all of our listeners, on average, and I get some more, some less, but kind of a nationwide average, we make about $3,000 every time we get a yes. And I just cannot get over how awesome that is, and that alone is a reason to do shameless self promotion, because every yes that I miss simply because I didn't ask for it cost me took $3,000 out of the lovely Mrs. White's purse, and I'm just not man enough to do that.
Yes. I mean,
you know
yeah, I don't like the gambling. That's gambling and losing. I like gambling and winning. I
Yeah,
want to win. So
I
let's
hear
win.
you.
Yes.
So you guys, I'm honored to have you guys part of the Leadership Academy, which is the upper echelon, as Kevin reminds me, of the Freedom Club that we have. So it's like the best of the best, and you guys are doing something quite remarkable, and that you have really seriously cracked the code on attracting new talent, not new talent, new to you. So established talent to join you guys. And I thought we'd do a little deep dive into, like, how do you do that? And I think it would serve two purposes for our company owners and branch managers and district managers that listen to the podcast. Man, I would pull over, literally, I'd pull over on the side of the road and take notes on this one. And for the loan officers, hey, this would just give you, some things to, in your own current company, go ask them to, hey, can you help do some of this stuff for us also?
Sure.
And so I think it can be beneficial for both people. So I'm going to give the numbers that I have, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne. And
We got the CPA on the call, Paul Marsh, so he'll be able to validate for us. So yes, go ahead.
well, I've heard Paul's a little shady, so
It could be fishtails, but that's okay.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Yes,
So I heard that you guys have somewhere in the neighborhood, you've got 50 loan officers to join you guys in like the last 6 months or so ago. And this might be a little dated, so if there's an update, give it to me.
Yeah.
And that you've added somewhere around $250 million of annual production to your team in that ballpark. And please, if I've misstated that, or if that's outdated, correct me on that. Are those numbers anywhere remotely accurate?
They are definitely remotely accurate. Paul, can you tighten that up a little bit, Paul? Or are you good with what Carl's putting out here?
No, I would say the number of people that have started pretty close to being on the volume. We've actually the annualized volume that we're going to see out of that is probably another 40% higher.
Good gracious.
There you go. Yep.
Hey, you know what they say, would that be somewhere around 350 million, something like that? Every 350 million helps, So that's all right. Well, let's talk, let's kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and like, how'd you do it? I got a couple questions here that I wrote down when I saw the numbers. Number one, anytime somebody, wait, and you know what? I've assumed something that may or may not be the case. And let's just use a round number of 50. So you've had, give or take, 50 loan officers join you in the last 6 months. Were these new to the business loan officers, or are these established loan officers that just transferred over to you? Like, what's the percentage on that?
Carl, I believe that to be mostly established, Paul, but I don't know if we have any of the dual license in that number, so you can confirm that or not. But I think most of that, if not all, is established LOs with volume, experience, and trackable and measurable volume and experience. Paul?
Correct. Yeah, we're not including any of our dual licensed folks that are both agents and LOs. These are LOs with verifiable production.
That's impressive numbers. So I mean, that's like real impressive. I personally don't know of anybody that's done any better than that. And I know a lot of people, and so it's a striking number for me. So I got a couple messages on that. So number one, who did you target, and how do you target them? Like, how do you know? Are you just like sending out this big blanket message, or do you have a bunch of people call in, or is it like social media ads or emails, or just all the above? Like who are you targeting?
Wayne, jump in. I'll let you go on that one.
So we have a national recruiter, Carl, that helps us with the targeting. Paul Marsh, who's on the call, is EVP of National Sales. And because of our unique scenario and situation where we're owned by Fathom Holdings, Inc., that has Fathom Realty, we have a lot of agents that we need to serve. And so we've got a lot of areas that we can market and target to. And so we set our national recruiter to go target markets where we have lots of agents that need support. And that kind of helps our nationwide strategy as far as where we're going and where we're targeting. We also have agents that are on the ground working for Fathom that also can refer us in LOs that they work with. So that's another part of the strategy. So in addition to having a national recruiter, we also have boots on the ground with the agents that help us to refer targets that they do business with. And then we have at-bats to attempt to recruit them in. Paul, I don't know if you want to add to that or not.
Sure. I think it goes beyond that, though, Wayne. We're the national recruiter. We have a platform that helps us to recruit. We feel our value proposition is great, but we do some unique things to recruit as well. And Carl, really, social media strategy is part of it. We're sitting on LinkedIn. We use Indeed as a pathway to get connected with folks. So both of those methods, a little bit of Facebook out there, but then on top of that, our networks, we're constantly working our networks, and we get referrals from many of the people we know in the industry because we've garnered the level of trust for them to send someone over.
Is it safe to say that like one of your value propositions is it that you have like already pre-established relationships with the real estate agents then, or the referral partners?
Sure.
That, hey, when you is that a big part of the message that will, Like, are these loan officers that you're placing in offices, or you're just assigning them to offices, or what does that look like?
No, so our pitch really that is an ancillary piece of our pitch. We think what makes us successful in the process is if we can get in front of someone, we have a very succinct process. We have a defined value proposition. We have a process that we take people through, and the focus isn't on, I'm going to connect you with a bunch of realtors. The focus is on, here's who we are as a company and why you would find it attractive to join us. Here's our loan process. Here's the software we use. Here's everything about us that you would want to know culturally. And oh, by the way, and wait, there's more, is here's the opportunities that you can see to increase your business somewhere between 33 and 100%.
Interesting. So what's a primary way that you're getting your message out? Is it the just outbound phone calls? Is it, I'm thinking there's some branch managers listening to this saying, hey man, tell me how to do this. So is it outbound phone calls or emails? Because I heard you say social media is not a big player in it. What's moving the needle for you the most?
So I can give you a bullet point list, right? It's events. So we're active at events. We ask our folks to be active at events. When we're at an event, we're there strategically. And for us, it's about recruiting and hiring. So the people we're talking to and we engage with is specific to that topic. It's agents. So when I'm talking to an agent, I'm saying, who does great business with you? We'd love an opportunity to talk with them. It's title reps. It is people within our organizations. We talked about Fathom. We go through some of those. We utilize Facebook a little bit, Twitter a little bit, or X. We use LinkedIn. We have some email campaigns that go out. We do, yes, have some cold calling as well. I'll tell you one of the powerful things to get a loan officer to talk to you, and I'll give this one away, is video texts. I can text, email, call all day long, but if I send a video text from the heart, we've had a very high hit rate of folks saying, okay, I'll talk to you because of that. And then we're still hitting our centers of influence, right? Family, friends, people we know. I'm actively, constantly talking with them about the fact that we're recruiting. And if they know anyone who's good, we'd love to hear about it.
It never ceases to amaze me that the most successful people and campaigns, it really all goes back to what we call the octopus method, where there is no one thing. It's back in, if somebody's new to the podcast, we talk about an octopus has 8 arms or 8 legs, however you want to look at it, that all feed one mouth and protect one body. And in each arm, in your case, one arm is events, one arm was agents, another arm was title reps, some social media, emails, cold call, video text, center of influence. I counted up and it was like 8. It was like, okay, there's no accident there. So the good old octopus method, it goes back. There is no one thing that works. It's a combination. But it seems like a lot of this, like I'm looking at events, agents, title reps, and centers of influence. Those are all just like local belly to belly type of stuff, as opposed to a whole lot of, online type things. Is that fair to say?
It is. And we're asking our people to do the same. And the great thing with Wayne and I is we have a regional and national reach as well. So we're not just going to events in our locality. We're going to events on a broader basis. And Wayne, I know you have a huge influence in the industry.
Well, appreciate that, Paul. I was going to say, Carl, we're actually utilizing the octopus strategy you're talking about right now. One of the beautiful things about doing that is when I'm hearing you say that, is diversification, right? If some of them aren't working, we're relying on all the tentacles to make it work, right? our national recruiter right now actually injured herself and she's been out for a while. So we're utilizing some of these others while she's recovering to keep the campaign going and keep the recruiting going. So another good part of having multiple reaches, diversity, and when one's not working well, you can, you know, rely on the others to keep the momentum going.
And do y'all have like once somebody comes in, is there some sort of like what does that look like? Like what is do you some sort of a boot camp of sorts, or here's how we ramp you up fast, or some sort of a I think Teresa mentioned something about a 90-day challenge. What is that?
So when we bring people on, we have a fairly succinct onboarding process. We have a great HR team, and then behind that, our training team and support team are great. So part of our process is technical, right? The most frustrating thing for a loan officer is to get in and they can't figure out how to get a loan into the pipeline, and they can't figure out what button to click here. We ensure we have high availability during those times. So we limit the frustration that happens. We want them ramped up on their own. We also have a great team that supports them for loans that are ready to come over. So we can get those loans going without their effort. They can focus on learning systems. We can keep things moving. But from there, with our network, our plan is to introduce them to agents right off the bat. We're hiring in markets where we need relationships. So we're connecting with the leadership in those areas very quickly. We're typically planning an event within 90 days to introduce them to folks. And we're starting that process of integrating them into the team.
Interesting. What would you say, like if a again, like a branch manager or company owner, they're looking at this, say, hey, you know, I brought on one or two this year, and boy, the idea of 50 just sounds unreachable. What would you recommend? What would be the first thing? Like in the octopus method, it's awesome, right? But we all know that doesn't happen overnight. Like you build one leg first, then you build the second leg, then you build the third leg, and so forth. Which leg do you think? So we had events, agents, title reps, social, email, cold calls, video text, and centers of influence. Is there one like, you know, for us, this one was probably now that we know what we know, we'd work on this one first.
Carl, if I can, I'll go back to when I first met you was in San Diego, I think in 2018 at a 3-day. And we showed up, and I can remember you walked through this whole long process, and pretty much at the end, you basically said, write a list, and who are you going to call when you get into the office on Monday? And you're going to pick up the phone and make the call. And so what I would encourage people to do who want to recruit is, yes, a method's great. Yes, building out a campaign is awesome. Make a list, start making phone calls. Pick up the phone and get going, do the activities, and then start to build each one from there. But the first and best activity is taking action and starting to talk to people. Your talk track won't be right. You won't have your value proposition built. Learn on the first few and grow from there. What makes our process great isn't all the arms that we have. It's when we talk to someone, we have a very high close rate because we know exactly what we're going to say, how we're going to say it, when we're going to say it, to walk them through a process.
Now, I know some people, and they do it successfully. Like they do a weekly webinar where, you know, they get X amount of recruits, and hey, if you're interested in joining our team, join us on this webinar. I actually have never done that before. Have you guys done that before?
No,
we haven't. I have my personal opinion on that is sure. I think we could bullpen or cattle call it and bring people in who are interested. And it's a great way to have a broad reach. I believe in a personal touch. Our culture is about that. And I really like the the personal attention we can give someone when we're on one-on-one with them, learning about them and them learning about us.
How long? So if I contact a loan officer and whether it was at an event or an agent introduced or title rep, um, so and we have that initial conversation, how long does it take in time, and like how many times do you have to touch them on the for the average one, so that when somebody says, sure, let's do this, what kind of time period is that, and how many times have you had to touch them before you get to that point?
Paul, I'll take this one. And so we got it broken down, Carl, into actually 4 different calls or 4 different touch points. The intro call is the first that you just referenced there. Paul and I have had quite a few that we've closed on an intro call. I would say that call maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and that's literally introductions all the way through our process, through value prop and to close. And that is without doing a pricing call or anything like that. Sometimes not even talking about pricing, which is just crazy, but real, absolutely real. Then it can go sometimes to a second process where it's more of a discovery, go through a discovery call, then potentially a pricing call could be the 3rd stop, and then a 4th close call.
Yeah, but
We've
before
done
you,
all of the sequences,
but before you even get to that point, for that, like for them to say, sure, I'll listen to you.
Mhm.
What do you got? Like lead me up to that one. Does that happen on that first contact where you say, hey, would you be interested in coming over here? And they go, sure, run me through your process. And then I'll make a decision. So how do you get that? How do you get that how long does it take for that person to go, sure, I'll listen to you?
I see Paul chomping at the bit. Go, Paul.
Carl, I adopt the same philosophy as we do to get a coffee meeting. We're gonna have 12 touches, and at after 12, you're dead to me until I love you again, and then I'm gonna reach out for 12 more times. So,
And usually on like if you're reaching out for 12 times, seems to be a magical number for me also. When you reach out on that 12 times, which one do you get roughly where do you get your first yes at?
so it depends, right? I would say the biggest numbers are in that 6 to 9 range.
Yes.
Same here.
Either
Yeah.
early or that early or 6 to 9, I would say yes.
And
Yeah.
around that time is when we send a video text as well. And
What do you say on that video text?
Again, it depends on the person, but I'm speaking from the heart, right? If it's someone who I've done research on, I'll talk about what I know about them, what I think makes them great, why I think they'd be a great fit for our organization, what I love about them that our organization has. It's finding that connection, that heart connection, not just, I think you'll like our comp plan, and I think you'll get your loans pushed through easily. It's more about who you are, who we are. We would be great together because we have a similar heart, a similar path.
Interesting. So it's more about, it sounds like that video text is more about them than it is you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Ego. Gotta fuel ego.
Yeah. A lot of wisdom in that. A lot of wisdom in that. So, do you have, now that you know what you know, is there a minimum production that you would recommend our branch managers look at? Or do you take some people that are lower production with a thought of, hey, if you follow our plan, we can help you ramp up? Like where do you fall on that?
So Carl, it's been hard during, 22, 23 timeframe to really look at production and go, okay, what can and does this person do? A lot of it is we look at 2019 production as an indicator of what they can do, which means we're looking at people who will go as low as $500,000 a month right now for a viable candidate because they're 18 million in 2019 and they're doing 6 million in 23. And so a lot of that is getting a feel for where they've been to determine where they could go.
And what do you, as far as looking at somebody's production, what do y'all do? Y'all, and we don't have to mention the name, but do y'all use one of those services where you can look up people's production?
Yes.
Boy,
Yeah.
that has been that I don't know of anything that's been more impactful for our business than be able to look up loan officers' production for our branch managers, and frankly look up realtors' production, for our loan officers. Um, what a huge advantage when those. I remember I was an early adopter on that, and when it first came out, I was paying, if I remember right, $2,500 a month. Now you can get it for $200 a month, but I was paying $2,500 a month, and felt like I was making out like a bandit paying that. That just the time that it would save us, and that we're only talking with the using air quotes here, the qualified. In my particular case, it was the real estate agents that we could have those qualified lists. So good stuff. So anything you would change now that you've had such great success with this, dude? 50 in 6 months is strong, man. That's a really high number. That's like 8 a month. Eight to 9 a month, which is an impressive number. Anything you've learned through that process that would be a good tip or little nugget for me to go home with?
Yeah, I'll give you our interview keys. So for us, I think our interview process, once we get someone on with us, I would put our process up against anyone. And I think it comes down to a few simple things. And then there's one or two other keys after that. We know our value proposition. And when Wayne and I are on a call, we have it ready to articulate. And we do it in a way that utilizes stories. So first part is know your value prop, utilize stories. So when I'm talking through our interview process, I'll say, here's a text I received from a loan officer about this thing that I'm telling them about. So they get a firsthand knowledge, but I utilize a story to tie it together, make it seem real. And they're real stories, right? I'm just weaving them into the process. And then I make the ordinary seem extraordinary. We've got a great POS. Is it better than anyone else's? I don't think so. But I make it sound like it's better than everyone else's because I talk about its features and I get excited about what it is. And throughout the process of what we talk about, we make the ordinary seem extraordinary. We only do video or in person. We will not do a phone call. So if they can't get on video with me, I'm not interested in interviewing because it'll waste their time and mine. And so I have to look them in the eyes. I have to see their expression. I have to feel what they're feeling in the call. And then the real key is Wayne and I typically, with rare exception, will only team interview. So we never take an interview alone. We interview together. And part of that is it brings a different energy to the call. When you're in an interview one-on-one, you can have those moments where it wanes, where you're not connecting. And the beauty of having two people is we've found you minimize those points of non-connection because when one person is in thought, the other person's picked up and going.
The other thing about that I've never thought about until you just mentioned that. So, dude, I can see that I've screwed up a couple areas. Number one, I've still been doing mine on phone and not video, like not doing a Zoom meeting, which is I can see it. That's just a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
And two, if you have two people, sometimes there's just not a connection with somebody. But then if you meet, I don't know, I'm just going to like somebody over here on our team, say Steve, our buddy Steve, somebody might go, I'm not too sure about that Carl, but I sure like that Steve, or I'm not too sure about Steve, but I sure like that Krista. That even on the phone call, you find the person starting to lean over toward one person. You kind of like that, whoever that person is, kind of like get back in the front, in the driver's seat, so to speak, and be the lead talker on the call. Dude, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'll go two more here real quick. Who does the actual recruiting calls is huge as well. I mean, Paul and I are both founders of Encompass Lending Group. Nobody can tell the story better than Paul and myself. So to all the branch managers, everybody listening on the call out there, you got to figure out who is going to be able to tell the story of the company the best. And in my opinion, whoever that person is the person that should be doing this role. Because what more important role is there for the company than to grow and add on sales? I mean, I don't know what's more important. For us, it is the most important thing. It is the most important thing. So whatever time Paul and I are spending on doing that is very high quality time to be doing that work. Okay. Number two is attitude. Attitude is a real thing. And when we're on the calls, and I'll speak for myself, I don't want to speak for Paul, but when I'm on a call doing that with Paul, it is not like work for me. It's fun. It's relationships. It's meeting people. It's meeting somebody else that I didn't know today. My expectations are we're going to close, but my expectation, I'm not talking like we're closing right now. I'm having a conversation and we're ebbing and flowing and seeing where the conversation takes us, and we're following the path. That's all it is. So at the end of the day, we have a call and it's like all the calls are great. Some are better than others, but they're all great because we're doing it together and we're smiling and we're having fun and we're being ourselves. And that resonates to the people that we're talking to.
Dude, good stuff, man. Hey, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't? Did we miss anything here?
I'll throw in a last one because we have a couple of last things that are really good. One of the pieces that we do is when I'm on a call, I ask permission. So can I tell you about this? Do you have another 5 minutes for me? I'm constantly asking permission from them. I find ways to ask permission because I want those subtle yeses from them for something that they're saying, because imprinting that yes leads to a bigger yes in the future. So I'm constantly finding ways to ask permission. Also, one of the things that I think is a key, we do what we call a walkthrough alone. Instead of saying, let me tell you about our pricing engine, let me tell you about our POS, let me tell you about this, I said, could I have permission to walk you through what a loan looks like if you were at Encompass Lending Group? Now I can start, and then the key to that is I go, oh, wait, we have a great marketing portal. So before you ever submit a loan, let me tell you how we're going to help you market. And now I can break in with marketing and walk all the way through to the very end of our process where we're going to help promote them and the real estate agent and give them a leverage to go talk about that with their agent. So I start with, here's how we're going to help promote you to agents. And I end with, here's a 36-month program that we're going to do automatically for you and the agent to help promote your business. And in between, I walk them through the loan, but I'm hitting our POS, I'm hitting our pricing engine, hitting our LOS, hitting what's important to us. And they get a flavor for us, but they do it in the context of they've just submitted a loan. Here's what it looks like.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hey, and I just want to make it clear to our listeners that this is not like the purpose of having you guys on is you're doing something very successfully, and I thought it would be a great message for our branch managers, company owners, and even the loan officers. And this is not a paid promotion or anything like that, because I don't accept any advertisers here on the podcast. Hey, but if somebody wants to reach out to you guys, or maybe a branch manager want to get some few more tips or run some ideas past you, what's a good way for somebody to reach out for you guys?
I can give office phone. I can give email address. We can give both of those.
Sure. Give them both.
Office 281-644-0062. Email is wking@encompasslending.com.
Very good. W King at EncompassLending.com.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Good stuff, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on. I tell you, it has just been an absolute joy watching you guys just really ramp things up. I mean, you've always been great, but just watching you ramp up, I don't know, the last, whatever it's been, it seems like it's been for, in a good way, forever, for the last 4 years or so, 5 years, something like that. It's just been an absolute honor watching you guys. And, one thing that I think you guys have done exceptionally well is you can very quickly pivot when things are needed to pivot, and because sometimes it takes an aircraft carrier, 5 miles to make a left-hand turn. But you can get if you can get a boat to make those sharp turns like real quickly to pivot and adjust to the market, because sometimes it happens really fast and you have to be able to adjust really rapidly. And you guys have done just an outstanding job of that. So it's been fun watching you. So thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you, Carl. Certainly, we appreciate you, Kevin, and the Mortgage Marketing Animals. You've been a huge piece of our success.
Without a doubt.
Well, it's an honor. So
we appreciate you.
It's an honor. All right. So, hey, if you're listening to this, thanks so much. We appreciate you guys. Anybody you think would benefit from this, if you're a loan officer, forward this to your branch manager, and maybe you could find some even more cool people for you to work with. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the great reviews, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.